What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Clash Royale video. Now, a few disclaimers before we actually get into the video. I am kind of sick right now. I'm not really there yet, but it is catching up on me, so that's just a quick disclaimer. If I sound a little bit off in today's video, it is because I am coming down with something. I'm getting a little bit sick, not exactly sure with what yet, but that's why my voice sounds a little bit different. And if you don't want to hear a lot of complaining, then just leave the video now. Don't watch it, because I'm going to be complaining a lot in this video. Clash Royale, I don't know what they're doing, man. We got some new balance changes up in here. We are going to be going over those today, so let's go ahead and get started. I haven't actually looked at any nerfs or any buffs at all yet. Where do we find this? So this will be my very first time looking at any of these changes with you guys, and you will get my, first reaction, first opinion on all of this. So I did see the Executioner nerf. That's the only thing that I've seen so far, and I'm not too happy with that. I didn't think the Executioner needed a nerf. I knew it was coming because everyone used it, and new cards usually get a nerf as soon as they come out because people start complaining that it's overpowered, or at least they think it is. I didn't think the Executioner was too overpowered. Of course, I do use the card, and obviously I go up against every single other person using it in the game right now, and it's not that hard to deal with. I didn't think it needed a nerf, but it's going to get one anyway. It's going to get a damage decrease of 6%, range decrease by half a tile, and the axe hit radius is going to decrease by 10% as well. The Executioner's power level is clearly too high for a troop that does it all. However, this is partly due to a few bugs that we're fixing in the next update. No idea what any of that means. We're taking that into account with these changes, reducing his damage, range, and the amount of stuff his axe can hit at once. Not sure how I feel about that. That was kind of a heavy nerf right there. Didn't think he deserved all of that. Maybe just the damage and the range, but all three of those is going to do a big impact on the Executioner. I'm most likely still going to use him. He is an awesome card, and I really like using him, but that's a pretty heavy nerf right there. Not a fan of that one. But next up, we do have the poison spell duration to 8 seconds from 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, sorry, and damage per second increased by 24%. That's a big jump right there. Maybe that'll start moving a lot of people to use the poison spell now. They haven't used it since it got nerfed a while back. It was a pretty heavy nerf when giant poison was a big deal. After this change, poison will be more reliable at getting its damage down. It will deal more damage with each tick, but roughly the same damage over the duration. Okay, so technically it's not that big of a damage increase because the duration is also being decreased, so I don't know, kind of making it a little bit quicker of a spell and doing more damage faster, but it's overall roughly the same damage from the poison spell, so that's a decent, I think, a buff right there. That's kind of a buff, kind of a nerf. Either way, we might see the poison spell come back into the game. Next up, the Witch is going to get a damage increase by 6%. Okay, not too upset about this. I haven't seen Witch too much, and although it is kind of annoying to deal with and I don't like playing against it, she did kind of deserve a buff. No one uses her yet, and at least not that often, so she kind of needed a buff, and her use rate is really low according to Supercell in the later arenas and high win challenges, but it's quite good elsewhere. We're looking to give her a small boost without overpowering her in the early game. This change will allow her to one-shot equally leveled skeletons. Alright, that's a good change right there. The Witch hasn't been able to one-shot skeletons in Tournament Standard, which is kind of confusing. Now she'll be a really good counter to the Graveyard spell. But next up, we do have the P.E.K.K.A, which deploy time will be changed from 3 seconds to 1 second. So now the P.E.K.K.A won't be standing there for as long. Not too much of a nerf or a buff against the P.E.K.K.A, like stats-wise, but just changing the deploy time to get her down quicker and out on the battlefield even faster. We're aiming to make the P.E.K.K.A feel more usable and a bit more nimble to play without breaking her identity as a big burly robot. Dark Prince is also going to get a hit points increase of 5%. This might actually bring back the Dark Prince in most battles. I have seen him pop up here and there just randomly. Double Prince is kind of coming back, but I've seen a lot of Dark Princes, and with this buff, he might even be coming back stronger. He's been considered a low tier card for some time, and his stats aren't quite there when compared to the other 4 elixir options. More hit points should allow him to charge around the arena with a bit more success. That makes sense. I guess the Dark Prince needed a buff too, and the Baby Dragon range is going to be increased from 3 to 3.5. Yeah, that's definitely an increase right there. Baby Dragon, kind of an underused card. It looks like in this update they're kind of just trying to bring out the underused cards, make them a little bit stronger, just enough so people start using them again, with the Poison, P.E.K.K.A, Dark Prince, Baby Dragon. And they're also buffing the skeleton. They're bringing back the skeleton count to 4 from 3. It used to be 4 elixir a long time ago, and then they eventually changed it to 3, considering everyone started using this 1 elixir card. But now that the Ice Spirit, according to them, has joined the arena, the 1 elixir slot has been more competitive, so we're bringing back the 4th skeleton. This change, aka 33% more calcium, will give skeletons a lot more value value as a distraction tool. Alright, so we might be seeing some 1 extra skeletons back into the game. They were quite useful with 4 skeletons instead of 3 because you can distract quite a bit of troops with that. Skeleton army count is going to be decreased to 15 from 16. Not too big of a deal, don't know why that's there, but I guess that's a nerf against the skeleton army. And that's about it. Earlier, like I said, that was my first reaction to all of those little buffs or nerfs right there, balance changes as you would say, and honestly not too mad at these. They're just buffing cards that aren't really used, and I kind of like that. I like to see cards that aren't used start coming back into the game, and I don't agree with the Executioner nerf though, and I am really upset that they didn't nerf the Royal Giant. I have no idea what they're doing over there at Supercell headquarters. Just like when they sit down for a balance change, what goes through their mind? They sit there and they're like, okay, which cards need to be buffed and which cards need to be nerfed? Obviously, the Executioner was going to get a nerf either way. Everyone was using him. He's in a lot of decks right now, and he is kind of strong, I'm not going to lie. Don't think he needed that heavy of a nerf, though, but obviously they're going to do something to him. But like as they're going through the card list and trying to figure out which cards to buff and nerf, do they just skip over the Royal Giant? Like, what? Now, I know a lot of you might say it's not hard to counter the Royal Giant, because in a lot of cases, it's not. If we go to my attack log, I have found 3 in a row. So don't even try to tell me that the Royal Giant isn't in the game and nobody uses it. Get up here to almost 5,000 trophies, and you will see the Royal Giant everywhere. 3 battles in a row against the Royal Giant. I beat this guy right here who had a level 12 Royal Giant, and 3 crowned this guy right here who had a max Royal Giant. So obviously, I can beat a Royal Giant. Ended up losing this one because that deck just countered mine really well, but the Royal Giant at level 13 has almost 4,000 hit points, 3,700 at a level 13 Royal Giant. A level 6 Golem has 5,000 hit points. That's basically like 1,000 hit points lower than a Golem right there, and I don't know, the Royal Giant, if anything, needs to get hit points decreased. I don't really care about how much damage he does. He does 123 per second, which is kind of brutal against a crown tower. You just throw him down and he doesn't die, especially because you always drop troops behind the Royal Giant like minions or like a wizard or something. They encounter usually anything you try to take out the Royal Giant with, and the Royal Giant sits there tanking every single hit and just smacks your tower. And then not to mention, when he dies, he still gets off like 5 shots as he's dying. The Royal Giant, I don't know, you guys know how I feel about this card, and you know that I hate it. So like I said, if you didn't want to hear this complaining, you should have clicked off the video when I warned you. But I'm just confused. Like, why haven't they touched the Royal Giant? I miss when it used to be the worst card in the game. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the Royal Giant used to be the worst card in the game. Nobody used it when it first came out. Everyone thought it was stupid because it didn't have that massive range. The range is huge. Obviously, the second he crosses the bridge, he can already shoot your tower and outshoot any defense of the game nonetheless. So that makes him extremely strong, and that's when a lot of people started using him. And then they started buffing him even harder. They gave him more hit points, more damage, and he's basically just an unstoppable card. It really takes 0 skill to use him. You can't argue with me otherwise. I would never believe that it takes skill to use a Royal Giant, because he just doesn't die. You throw him down and there's your tower. I'm honestly just really curious as to what Supercell is thinking when they decide not to nerf him. Like, what goes through their head when they come to the Royal Giant as they're sitting down to make balance changes, and they say, oh no, he doesn't need a nerf. He doesn't need a nerf. He just doesn't. So we're just gonna ignore him, move on, skip him to go to the next card. Like, I don't know how that goes about in the Supercell headquarters, but I'm just extremely disappointed that there isn't a Royal Giant nerf. Honestly, I haven't battled too much. I did a few battles this morning, but if we go down and check right here, I haven't battled since yesterday. I usually only do grand challenges, as you can see right here. These are all challenge battles, because in challenges, people don't usually use the Royal Giant, and if they do, it is tournament standard, which of course does make it a little bit easier to counter because your cards are the same level. Up here, I'm a level 11, almost level 12, but with like decent card levels. I have level 12 commons, level 9 rares, but people using max Royal Giants are obviously out leveling me. And I just can't kill a level 13 Royal Giant. He just doesn't die. But I guess I don't really have a point to this rant. I just felt like talking crap about Supercell because they really made me mad with this balance change. Let me know how you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Like I said, just ignore all the complaining I did. I tried to warn you guys about it. The Royal Giant, not my favorite subject. So, but anyway, that was the balance change for today's video. Like I said, I like most of them. This is not a bad balance change, besides the fact that the Executioner got hit really hard, a lot harder than I think he deserved to, and the Royal Giant, of course, not included. But like I said, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up. These are all of the balance changes for the next update. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button down below. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well for more Clash Royale content. Anyway, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.